out, confidence out.
That's how we're feeling today. The sun is out. What is happening? Out
for the first time in a year. Feels like
1 whole year. Almost at 600 days. That's not a year.
525 hours, 600 minutes. What is that from?
That is from The Office.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I know so. I know it's from The Office.
I didn't know.
Yeah, it's when Michael leaves. It's a beautiful episode.
Aww.
Recommend it. Speaking of Rex,
before that, welcome. Oh, yeah. This is our podcast where we forget that we're
what
recording.
We're doing. Yeah.
And this is Polite as Fuck, and I'm Erica.
And I'm Ellie.
I don't know who's new. They
That's
need
true.
To know our voices.
That's true. I'm Ellie.
I'm still Erica.
It hasn't changed, for fuck's sake.
And we're coming to you live with some hot Rex.
From Hot Rex. I can go first.
Okay.
The new season of Never Have I Ever has been out for a few weeks now, and I absolutely love that show. If you're looking for something quick to watch and some like drama but not heavy drama, it's just like a cute little show. I love it. Have you seen it?
No, I think I saw a clip though of like, I'm imagining it was like her fantasy of like some guy like throwing her textbooks off of the desk and like ripping his shirt off, and I was like, this feels like a lot.
I don't know. Is it? I don't know. She's like an Indian girl?
Yeah.
Then yeah. She's just like, it's hilarious. It's funny, drama, high school, but not like Euphoria high school, but like fun.
I haven't
seen Euphoria either. I just know it's like intense. It's not like that. But it's a cute little show. I love it, so I wanted to recommend it. And then a new season just came out, so now I think it's like 4 seasons, so it's like bingeable. That's a word. I just made it up.
Yeah. Cool. Well, maybe I'll watch that when you leave me for a month. I was also going to wreck a show called The Queer Ultimatum because I was very ill last week and just binged it, and it was so good.
So fucking good.
I haven't seen the other Ultimatum, but I'm sure it's better because it's just better.
Yeah, no. I don't know the other ones. We haven't watched any of the other ones, but the Queer Love one was perfect. It was everything we needed.
Mal, icon. Like, I want to channel everything that they bring because the emotional intelligence, their communication, their confidence. I was like,
it's funny because since we've watched that, I've been seeing clips of like them on Instagram, and one was like, so what's your relationship status? And it was like, staying hydrated and feeling good or something like that. I was just like, I love you. You're perfect.
They're perfect. And there's some other crazy people that I'm like, wow.
I feel like everybody is like somewhat relatable in a sense, except for the one crazy bitch. And once you watch it, you'll know exactly who we're talking about.
Yeah. But I think also, and I'm guilty of this, of being like, sometimes when I'm frustrated with men, I'm like, oh, I wish I was like attracted to women, like making that comment out of ignorance.
Yeah.
But I was also like, there's some issues dating a woman as well.
Everybody has their issues. But it's a really, other than that, it's a good show. It's definitely, that's another bingeable one.
Very bingeable. But hopefully you're out doing summer activities.
Yeah. What are some other things? I only have one other rec and it's really dumb, so I'll save it for the last one.
Okay. I don't actually know how you say his last name. Noah Khan?
I think it's Khan.
Noah Khan?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I just discovered him this year, and I feel like he's released like a bunch of like, I don't know what artists do when it's like they basically re-release the same album, but there's like extended versions of things and stuff.
Extended version, I guess.
But I've been listening to it, and it's so good. And he has, when he does, like, his Spotify singles or whatever, those are so good. There's songs that, like, make me cry. There's songs that make me, like, so happy. And there's songs that make me, like, just, I don't know. Good. They're just good.
Yeah. It's a good artist. I liked him when you were playing it in the car. I haven't listened to it, like, by myself, though.
My last two are kind of silly, but... Do you want to say yours?
Yeah, mine is Bubbles.
Bubbles.
It's been, the last 2 weeks have been like the wrap up of my job, the end of the school, and I got, for our end of the year party, I bought us this like bubble machine, massive like bubble machine. And and it's just like brought so much joy, and it's like so fun. I'm like thinking about just buying one just in general to have like to go to the beach. It's just like,
on the back
honestly,
patio.
it makes everybody so happy. And like if you were driving by and you saw bubbles, I'd be like, oh my god, what are they doing up there? That's awesome. And then Lakeshore, which is a like education store. If you guys are like teachers out there, you'll know what Lakeshore is. They sell these like individual bubble things like for kids called touchable bubbles. And mind blown. They are like legit like a bubble thing that you get and you blow it, but you can like, they don't pop.
You can,
like you
catch
hold
them?
it.
Oh.
And it like, they'll stay in your hair, they'll stay on your clothes. I don't know what mad scientist made them, but they're amazing. And I took some from my school, and I'm gonna okay. I took some from my school, and I'm gonna gift them to Gabriella when we go to Florida. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for her to like be playing with the bubbles on the beach.
I'm sure you're excited.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm more excited
the
than she's gonna be.
bubbles on
She's
the
gonna be like, I'm 5, TT Ellie, and I'm like, okay, I'll play with them then.
I haven't blown bubbles. Couldn't even tell you the last time I've done that. Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah, so fun. It's like such a like little thing that just brings so much joy. So I highly recommend, if you're in the same boat as us that haven't done bubbles in a while, you should go out and buy some because they're just so fun.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah. Well, mine aren't as fun as that, I guess. No, I wish I went before you. I had local run clubs, which I'm like not the best at attending, but the few times that I have gone, I'm like, this is so nice. Mm-hmm. And it's cool that people like start those things. And if you're at all feeling like you want to go for a run, I would see if you have a local run club or start your own.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's like, for me, sometimes very hard to motivate myself to run, but I really enjoy it once I do it. And it's not like a race. Like everyone's just, running and chatting.
I think that's more of a you activity than an Ellie. That's an Erica thing, not an Ellie thing. I don't think Ellie could do a run club. I'm too competitive. Yeah. I like the idea of it, but I feel like if I were to do a club, I would do literally anything else.
Literally what you just recommended is the bottom of my list.
I don't know. It does not strike my fancy. But it's like, I love the idea. Like, I want to do it so bad. I just don't know if I would enjoy myself. I just need to shut up and do it and stop complaining.
Well, maybe come with me sometime and
we'll change my mind.
See if you hate it, then you never have to go again.
Perfect. You gotta try it. I have to try it.
The summer activity. And then my last one was my Hatch alarm clock. Because last night, I swear that I could hear a song, like, on repeat. I swear.
It wasn't me. I definitely wasn't doing it.
No, I think it was from, like, whoever lives below us. I swear, I was like, I'm going to lose my mind. And I just turned up the little sound machine and went right to bed. And
this is the machine, so I've seen ads for it. This is the machine, like, you can wake up to, like, a sunrise, and, like, it has the animal noises, well, bird noises. I don't know. There's, like, an elephant or something
Maybe,
like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've never bought one of those, but I recommend it, because I want one so bad.
I didn't buy it. I got it through work, but I'm like, this is great. And it's also nice because then I don't have the excuse of, like, oh, I need my phone for an alarm clock.
Which is the best.
Yeah. So would recommend. I think they have knockoffs. I'm pretty sure our friend bought a knockoff one that does like the same thing. So some type of alarm clock that has a sound machine is really great. Brown Noise on Spotify. I guess I'll also recommend that.
Yeah. I do like the idea of like the light slowly turning on. Mm-hmm. I like that. That's what caught my eye.
Yeah, it's good. Okay, those are my recs.
Perfect. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about our ideal summer fling. Because the sun is out, so the confidence is out.
That's the thing.
And I think that sometimes that can be thought of as like confidence, so now you're going to like lock in a relationship. But for at least, I'll speak to where I'm at, and then you should speak to where you're at. For me, I'm like, okay, the sun's out. I want to do all these activities. I want to have fun. I want to go out during the week. I am not attaching that to a partnership. I want to do those things regardless of if it's with friends, if it's by myself, if it's with a guy. And I also really don't want to be putting my energy into someone else. Mm-hmm. I feel like I want, like we've talked about in the whatever ideals. What was our summer episode?
Unbothered summer.
Ideal
summer.
Our unbothered summer episode is like we've spent so much of the winter, like I think, on our mental health. And now I want to spend it on not like dropping my mental health, but doing like physical activities and spiritual like health and all of that. And that doesn't necessarily involve investing time and energy into a relationship.
Yes. I think I pretty much agree with everything you said. I think like for me, I love the idea of like having a relationship for the sake of like building a life with someone. Mm-hmm. With that being, and like relationships are beautiful, but like with that being said, it's not something that I'm like really seeking because of the work that I've done in the winter. Like to just throw myself into summer looking for a relationship just seems like a waste of my time. Mm-hmm. Like there's so many other things that I want to do that are a priority to me that I'm like trying to make a priority, such as like being with friends. And especially now that it's summertime, like going out and doing those activities. Mm-hmm. I said this before in the last episode, like I know how I get when boys are involved. Like mm-hmm. Maybe it's bad of me, maybe I should know better, but like if someone's like, hey, if friends are like, hey, do you want to hang out? We're doing this. But then like a boy that I'm interested in, like a potential relationship is like, hey, do you want to go do this? I'm like, oh, I don't want to lean towards that. Mm-hmm. So I feel like entering summer or like even just the mentality of like, oh, I want a relationship. It's just like, it feels like stressful because then I'm like, oh my gosh, now I have to like divide up all my time. Like there's all of these things that I want to do. And then I like, relationships are work and like you have to spend time and like I don't want to just jump into a relationship. So if I'm like dating, I want to like figure out who they are. I want to like see if we're compatible, like if we work, and by doing that you have to like spend time with them. And I just like don't want to do that right now. But I still like want to like go on dates. I still like want to like not really hook up, but like have a connection.
Yeah.
And so that's where you came up with this like summer fling. Mm-hmm. And I think the conversation that I want to have is like situationships or flings can get real messy. Mm-hmm. And I don't want that at all. No. So like what is an ideal, what makes like a fling, what makes a situationship, how is that different than a relationship? And what makes it like so good, and is it worth having that during summer? Mm-hmm. Because I'm like, I don't know. Like I want one if if
you meet these requirements.
Yes. Show me your resume. So what do you think makes like, what is the difference between a fling and a relationship?
Well, I think the difference between like a fling and a relationship is the commitment piece. I think when you are in a relationship, you make sacrifices. You are like, you're really thinking of the other person and trying to like, it's never 50-50, but like there's a balance there. There's give and take. Mm-hmm. You guys are a companionship. Mm-hmm. When it's a fling, in my mind, there's no strings attached. It's like, I'm not obliged to hang out with you every weekend. If it works, like if we can meet up, great. If not, not. If I want to go hang out with my friends, I'm going to go do that instead. Yeah. And like, I don't need to talk to you all the time. Mm-hmm. That's it. There's not, and I don't expect that from them either. Yeah. And I also think like to an extent, there's maybe like dating around. Like if you're in a fling, I'm not, unless we've had a conversation, like you're probably going out with other people too. Yes. And I might too.
I think the difference between a situationship and a relationship does incorporate the commitment piece. But I also think about like the conversations that you have when you're like looking for a relationship. Sometimes I'm like really interested to see like what your future is, like what your goals are. Are you looking to get married? Are you wanting kids? Like those things are going to come up sooner if I'm like really looking for a committed relationship. Where if it's like a fling, again, like you're getting to know someone regardless. I'm sure those will come up, but I'm not like taking notes in my mind like, oh, red flag, or like, oh, this is happening. Like as long as we're, somewhat compatible, I feel like I'm not looking to like plan my life with you.
Yeah.
So I think that's like the main like difference. But I do, the commitment piece is probably the biggest piece.
How do you not allow yourself to be like, oh, red flag, oh, that wouldn't work? Like, you just don't even have those conversations at all.
Well, this is what I was going to talk to you about, is because the more and more I think about it, like, it is a very, very, very fine line between the difference of, like, falling for someone and keeping it in, like, the fling box. Mm-hmm. And so I think, like, the more red flags, the better. No, I'm just kidding. I think, like, regardless of relationship or fling, like, I am looking to see if we're compatible. Like, you cannot be crazy like me. Like, let me be the crazy one. But I mean, like, you can't. There are things like I want to hang out with you. Like, I want to enjoy your presence. And if you're like, I don't even know, whatever, things that I don't like that are red flags to me, I am not going to want to spend time with you regardless.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's just more so of like, especially in this area, I think like military lifestyle, like if you're looking to like deploy or move, like that's not something that's a red flag to me, but it's not like, oh, can't hang out with you. Like that's, you know what I mean?
I feel like to me that makes it easier to have a fling.
Oh,
if
for sure.
I know you're leaving.
Oh yeah. No, that would
great.
be perfect.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then I feel like in my mind it's like that part is already kind of turned off. Of like, okay, there's nothing really here. Like, let's just focus more on the adventure and like doing fun things. And hopefully like we relate in that way. So it's like you have a person to do fun stuff with.
Yeah, I agree. I do think too, like, I don't know how to say this like nicely, but like, it's gonna sound so bad, but like not going after like my perfect person. I think sometimes what makes a fling so good is like, obviously there's like compatibility, but it's not like maybe someone that you're like specifically looking for, or like that you have like pictured your life with or a relationship with. I also think like when the other person isn't committed, it makes me have like a little bit of an easier time, because I'm just the kind of person that would like, if anybody shows like any sort of interest or like talking about the future or brings up little things, like I'm just like hearing those things and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, are we like together now? No, that's a little too much. But I mean, knowing and having someone else in my life that is like, no, I'm not looking for anything else. It's like, okay, boundaries, got it, boom, done, get it. So I think that makes it easier too. And I think if I were to have a fling, that is something that I would be looking for. Because for me, it would be so easy to be like, oh, well, they're interested in a relationship, so like I could see it work, which is like bad on my part, but
yeah. No, I think you have to have that conversation kind of early on of like, actually, I don't even know. This is so muddy.
It is.
This is so hard because I think about like, not that I've had a lot of flings, but like the flings, I guess, that I have had, they've really happened organically, where it's been just like usually like a friend, and then we like start hanging out, and then maybe we like, whatever, like make out or something. Yeah. And then it's like, what are we doing? And then it's like, oh, like this is just fun. Yeah. We're just having fun. It's like, okay, great. But I feel like when I see like on Hinge or something, someone's like, what they're looking for is like something casual, I'm like, ew. Yeah.
Yes.
Because to me, that means you're just like a fuck boy. Yeah. And you're just like, something casual is just like hooking up. Like in my mind, a fling or a situationship. Okay, a situationship is a hookup, I think.
Really?
I think that's what that is. It's like your booty call. I think a fling is like someone you go and do activities with and like do like
I love
a date
that.
night
Yes,
or something.
I like that definition. That's good. I like that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I mean, I'm just that's in my
No,
mind.
that makes sense. Because if you think of like, yeah, you're like in a situation, like situation in itself is like not a great word.
Yeah.
So if you're like, yeah, a booty call, you're for sure in like it's a situation.
Yeah.
Whereas like a fling, that's what I would want. Like I would want to go do things with that person, but only if it like fits my schedule or and fits in their schedule too.
Yeah.
I think though, like going off of like what you were saying about organic and stuff like that, in a perfect world, and I do think like this is how good relationships should start. So even though like in the future I am thinking about relationships, all of this really falls back on me. And if like I can be secure in myself and like everything that we talked about in last episode, like if I can do those things by like remaining unbothered, you know, taking these classes, making friends a priority, doing these hikes, getting out in nature, like if I am set with myself and like make these dates with myself and make these promises to myself, it's going to be easier to have like a fling because I'm like, oh, interested. You know, it goes back to what we're saying. It's like if we're going on hikes, we're going to like meet people, or if we're going out, like just that, again, that confidence, because the sun is out, you're going to be engaging with people and, you know, you never know who you're going to meet. I think once you're secure in that, meeting people and bringing them in your life, but keeping them like at a distance is a perfect fling, because it shows them not only like, yeah, I'm interested, but I'm also more interested in myself right now. Yeah. And if they don't like it, then you're not hurt by it. But if they do, they'll be okay with how your summer is going to be. And that's going to be whatever it is like my priorities are. But that's not to say like it can't turn, look at me already.
I know. The hopeless romantic in me is like if you're taking it slow, I don't know. Like if there's not that commitment, and maybe because you are so invested in yourself and like prioritizing like your own happiness, that it will happen, maybe it would happen like even better than if I'm pursuing a relationship and I'm going to go out of my way to be on dates and things like that.
Yeah. But I think too, like if you think of like October, you know, like September, October time, like when summer's like wrapping up, we get into the holidays. That's when you're even like, that's what makes a fling so good, is you get to those points and that's when you have like not even a conversation with them, but just a conversation with yourself of like, okay, I'm starting to think like there's always some sort of like a shift around that time because you're getting closer to the holidays. I'm always like thinking about like, okay, what is it? I'm always thinking about what do I want to do with my life? But at that time, like you're just kind of, you're shifting out of summer. There's a lot of questions, next steps into doing things like, you know, you're trying to take vacations, holidays are coming up. And so that is when you're like really evaluating your life and what you've been doing. And so if you have a fling, you know, a summer fling that you've been like hanging out with, if it's summertime, or sorry, if it's like September and you're like, okay, I'm ready to like continue on with my life, this was fun, then great. Like that's summer fling done, zipped up, can put away. But at that time, if it's like, I have had fun in the summer, like let's start figuring out like if this can go like further.
Yeah, the holidays are just so messy.
It is. That's why I think that's what I like about a summer fling though, is because once you've like maintained those boundaries, once it comes to like holiday time, if you're like actually starting your relationship, you know, you've made those clear boundaries of like, yes, it's just a fling, we're not hanging out all the time. Like if you're only hanging out like 3 to 4 times a month, you haven't even like really experienced this person. And if you want to continue, by the time October comes along, it's like, yeah, let's go on dates, let's make it more serious. That does not mean like I'm taking you home to like meet my family. That does not mean like we're getting gifts. That's just like when the relationship starts. Because you've built such a good foundation. That's what I like so much about summer flings, is because you can have a like relationship, meaning just like a friendship with this person by getting to know them, but you're kind of like not letting them inside so that it doesn't become messy during the holidays where you're like, oh my gosh, we spent all this time in summer, now like you need to meet my family, now we're like pressured to get each other gifts, all these things. Like it's just, that gets too much when you jump the gun and have like these serious conversations during summer. So not being serious makes it perfect.
So it turning into a relationship aside, What are things that you think you would rather do with like a summer fling than by yourself or with a friend?
Weddings. Because you can bring someone, kind of like show them off, like meet your friends. Very like, if you're like going to a wedding and they like, you know that you're bringing a fling, like, you know, if like it's a friend, it's just like, oh, hey, like you're not meeting parents. It's nothing crazy depending on the wedding. I don't know like how, you know, what kind of wedding it is, but just like if you're invited to a wedding and you're bringing like a friend along, it's a great opportunity to like get to know them a little bit better, get drinks, you get to dance, you get to have like an experience, but there's no like commitment, there's no need for anything. Like if you're in a wedding party, that's a little different, but I think stuff like that, I don't know, I would really do anything with a fling that I would do with a friends, because I'm like, there's nothing like, I would like to hike, you know, it would just depend on the situation. I don't know, I could do anything with a boy. Literally anything. Do you have specific ones?
I feel like there are things like, for example, the ceramics class. If I did that, I don't think I would want them there. Or if it's like an activity where...
That's a good point.
I'm like trying to learn something. I don't know. It really could be any type of like thing where I'm like, I really want to learn how to surf. I'm going to take an actual lesson. I don't really want you hanging around, because then I feel like I have to like entertain you. If I'm like if it's something in that sense, I feel like by myself or like with some like a really close friend, someone that I feel like I know you can like take care of yourself and do your own thing. And I don't need to be talking to you.
What about like friend group parties? Would you want to bring a fling to those?
Well, now that I'm thinking, I didn't bring a fling, but I brought a random guy over. And what, I mean, how did you feel about that situation? I feel like because he came so late, like it was okay, because it was kind of like there really wasn't anything else happening. We were like trying to make things happen because he had come so late. But I almost feel like for stuff like that, I would need to have like hung out with them a bit. It wouldn't just be like, oh, the second time, like we're hanging out, you're coming to meet all my friends. Because that's another thing where it's like, unless I know how you are in social settings.
Wait, I want to change my answer.
Okay.
I do not want to take my fling to a wedding.
Really?
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, no.
I feel like it could be fun. I feel like it's similar to like the friend house party. It's like, I need to see how you interact in social settings before I bring you to a social setting with people that I care about.
In order to maintain those boundaries with myself and not to get too attached, I would need like, it's just like it really, really is muddy even into situationship, because I'm thinking of like this weekend, like where we were doing something fun, but I'm like, you know, did the friend group, did the moment of like us all hanging out, but it gets to a point in the night where I'm like, okay, like this was fun, I could go do something else. Or like not even at the night, but like even at a house party, it's like I wouldn't want to maybe like show up with them, but like maybe like, it sounds bad, but like not like an afterthought really of like, hey, this is what I'm doing if you want to come by. Because I think like once you start like, that's why I'm changing my answer to wedding, because I'm like, once you kind of like show up with them, and only like it already like makes things official. You're like coming with them, I guess. And I don't really know if I want that. I think like maybe during the summer, what would make like a perfect fling for me is keeping you separate from my friend group.
Yeah.
I mean, not like crazily like intentionally, but like enough for there to be like a clear boundary so that I can get to know you on a personal level and like us create our own like relationship before I like bring you in. Because it's almost like, I mean, friends can be very like daunting, and it's almost like, I mean, I haven't like been with this friend group for a while, but I'm just thinking of like you. It's like you're just as close as like family almost, and like your opinion matters. And so if this person already has some like, it's just a fling, and you come, it's like, you know, it's really, you're really, it's, the line is just super blurred. So it's almost like during the summer months, I would almost want to keep you separate. So I think like, doing these classes that we talked about, I wouldn't want them to be like you were just saying, like these, get-togethers with friends. I would almost want that to be just me time. And even if I'm there for like an hour or two and then we go do something else, it doesn't mean like you're my booty call. But if we're doing like something separate, then that is almost better for me to maintain the boundaries.
Yeah. I think it's also like, hopefully, if I have a summer fling with someone, they also have relationships with like friendships and things they want to do, and they're also doing that. Instead of like them expecting me to be like, what are we doing this weekend? Or like, what do you want to do? Where should we go? Like, I'll go hang out with my friends. You go hang out with yours. Let's meet up at 9 and go out somewhere else type of thing.
Well, okay, so I have a bit of like a scenario for you.
Okay.
If you find yourself like what you think is a fling, but it's kind of starting to like shift into a situationship that you're not like really wanting, what do you do? For example, is I was kind of talking to this guy last summer, and we, at the like beginning of us hanging out, we were doing things that were like, just us. So we like would go to the lake and have like a beach day, or like we'd watch the sunset or go watch the stars, or like go in the car and like listen to music and drive around. It slowly like shifted into more of like, not necessarily a booty call, but like, let's go get dinner, drinks, back to my place. Dinner, drinks, back to my... And then it was like, that is what we were doing every time. And then it was like, drinks, back to my drink. And it like started shifting. And then I was like, in this like feeling. And even now, like we still, not that we talk, but like it's still like we will meet up if we're like in the same space. And we're like about to be in the same space. And I'm in a like predicament because I'm like, I don't know if I want to reach out because I don't want a situationship. If that's what we're defining as like a booty call and it's just sex, I don't want that. Like I don't want that. I had like my fun willy-nilly summer last summer. I would like want a little bit more of a connection. So what do I do?
I think you have to instigate what you want in terms of like, when you're back home, what is it that you would rather do? Would you want to go on a hike? Would you want to like, what is the activity that an activity, and like be like, hey,
and plan that
and be like, yeah, would you want to go on this hike with me on Thursday? And then if they say no, or they're like, that's not going to work, and they don't really like offer another day or like try and come up with another plan, but it's like, no, I'm busy all day, but like you can come over when I get off work or something. Then it's like, I feel like that's your answer, is that in their mind, that's what they want. But you put it out there that you wanted something more, and they rejected that, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. It is nice, though, because it's like the boundaries have been clear the whole time. I feel like it wasn't too much of like blurred lines as far as like, oh, are we in a relationship or not? And I think that was nice, especially to have last summer. But yeah, it's just like crazy, man. Hate it. Do you prefer like flings over situationships? Is that like...
I think so. I think a one night stand sometimes, yeah, that's fun. Whatever. So most of the time it's actually not fun.
Yeah.
The thought of it is fun.
Yeah, the thought.
And then you're like, wait, I actually hate this.
Yeah.
And I think that's what situationships are. And I don't really know that I've even had one, because it's like, that to me is like such a vulnerable thing to do. And usually if I've had a one night stand, I'm like very intoxicated. And if I'm sober, like I really can't get into that headspace to be like, I have no attachment to you at all, but I'm going to let you like into my space.
Yeah.
Into me.
Literally.
Literally. Like that's really, I don't know that I can just shut that off fully.
Yeah.
I think I can have like this has never happened, but I think that I could have like a person that's like, anytime we go out, like we're like making out or whatever type of thing. But if it's like every time we go out, you're coming back to my place and we're hooking up, like I need something more than that.
Yeah.
I can't just have that. Yeah, I mean, you saw, I don't want to say I went crazy, but like that guy that like ghosted me but didn't, and we hooked up one time, and that like messed me up.
Yeah. Especially when you go into it. That's what I'm saying is like it really does start with you and what like you're comfortable with, because if you go into it, not that you were thinking of more, but when there's a deep connection and you haven't had that conversation with yourself of like, okay, what am I showing up with? Like what am I wanting? What kind of conversations I am? And then you automatically like open the door to that. It's like you end up like hurting yourself. And I think that's why it's like worth having this conversation, because like we have put in so much work, and I do not want to like fuck around and get involved and then have my heart broken and then feel sad or like bummed out all summer only to like have to do it all over again in the winter and like do all this work and all this shit. Like I don't want to have to do that. But like, it's true, when summer comes along, like, I do want to mess around. Like, I do want to, like, hang out with guys and, like, drink and party and do stuff. But, like, I don't want just sex. It's not, it just doesn't do it. Doesn't fill my cup. It doesn't make me happy. And, like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
That's why I deleted Tinder. Guys, Tinder is fucking crazy.
Oh, my God.
What's the opposite of a recommendation? This is a don't do. Is Tinder.
This is a warning. This is a PSA.
Yeah, don't
go on Tinder.
Don't do it.
Because we were like, Hinge is not really like the place. Should we try a different app? Ellie had success on Tinder like a long time ago. And I
thought I'd get the same result here, apparently, but wow, Lord, was I wrong.
The messages that I received.
I'm horny, LOL. Boy, go to bed.
Like, does that work for you? On what planet? Who is being like, okay, let me help you out?
People are probably like, that's what you get for being on Tinder, but I'm like, I don't know, I had success. Like, I found a decent guy on Tinder.
Yeah. Our friend got married. The guy that she married, she met on Tinder.
I know. Yeah. I thought they were good.
They're success stories, but I also feel like a lot of these that I'm thinking of were like a while ago.
Yeah.
I feel like most people go on Hinge or Bumble.
I think it's the area.
Yeah.
The time of the year.
Yeah.
That's why it's like doing these things, like meeting someone organically. In order to do that, you have to go out and like participate. And most of the time, like you're with a friend group and you're putting yourself out there. And like you were saying, like you're being more bold, but you're also being very clear of what it is that you're looking for. And hoping that they'll do the same. Because sometimes like that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I was thinking about last summer, and I felt like I was pretty messed up from getting out of my relationship, and I did some dumb things that like probably put me back in my healing. But I was very like bold. Like I was thinking about, do you remember when we were in Portland and I wrote my number on the receipt?
Oh my God.
For that guy. I was like, to the guy with the like wolf shirt on. Which like didn't pan out. He was like, my girlfriend and I are in an open relationship. Blah, blah. It was a very nice, it was actually a very sweet message. But, like, no, thank you.
Thanks. Shout out Portland. Love it. Love that place.
But I was just thinking of that, and I feel like that attitude and that, like, boldness and unbotheredness, both in the same sense, are what I want to channel with guys this summer. Because there were other instances where I, like, got, like, I think I was just confused in how I was feeling, or I was, like, really hurt, so I tried to, like, heal myself in not the right ways and like things like that. But this is like, I want to put myself out there and like make moves and say what I want and say how I'm feeling, but also like with the full expectation that I have no expectations, you know, like however you respond, I don't care. I'm just going to say what I want and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Type thing.
No, I think that's good advice. I think that's very difficult for me. And so I think things that I'm working on is like really trying to, I don't want to be too like scheduled, but I do want to like not only schedule like within my work time, but schedule time that like, okay, this time is going to be with friends, this time is this. So like my week or month or whatever, my days are going to be like pretty booked. But if we're out there and like I'm feeling good and I put myself out there as I want to, if I show up as like fun summer Ellie, that's great. I'm like putting my best foot forward, but then I'm also like, I'm not going to just drop everything to go hang out with you. I have these things planned. This is when I'm free. Like, this is when we can hang out. I also think for me, like, you know, we've talked about this before of like fucking on the first date. I just don't want to make that a priority. Don't get me wrong. I want to fuck. Like, just don't want to. But I don't want that to be like my focus, because what ends up happening is I automatically, I think, I don't know, I'm guessing, like, this is just like some self-reflection, is like I am associating like, okay, there's like this end goal, and I'm like, the end goal is sex, and so if once that's accomplished, we can like now start to like build and grow from there. That's never worked out. Never. So like, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Stop expecting that, because it's not going to work. And also like, it doesn't bring me joy.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do that. And I think like for those that are out there that kind of are more like me, that are a little less like, I don't know, not secure maybe. I don't know, I guess like a little insecure in that, or like not able to like, you know, be secure with the person that you're like trying to go after, is like setting up like dates with yourself and giving yourself rules to follow and following through with them, holding yourself accountable.
No, I was going to say, I honestly feel like, just thinking of the Portland example, because it was like 2 days, and this is like the window that we have, and this is like, I'm never going to see these people again. I feel like that's where that like energy comes in. And when you're living in a place, like, you're probably thinking about it somewhat, I don't want to say often, but like, you're thinking about it, and when is that window, and when should you do it? So I think scheduling it is great. It's like, then you're not thinking about like, oh, when am I going to like make a move? When am I going to put myself out there? It's like, okay, on Tuesday when I go out, that's when I'll do it. Otherwise, I'm not stressed about that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing my thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think of it almost as like Hinge in real life, right? If you're like at a bar, or like you're on a hike, or you're doing something where there's like a lot of people, like I can't help, we've talked about this so much, like I can't help scoping, constantly looking just to see if I'm attracted to anybody, if there's anyone that's like catching my eye, what the vibe is going on. So like, that's kind of like what you're doing on Hinge. Like, you're like scrolling through to see like, do I like you? Do I not like you? But also like remaining of like, if you put yourself out there and you're the one that is like texting hi, or you're putting yourself out there and there's no response, there's no answer, you don't want it. It's like on Hinge, I'm kind of like, well, that sucked, next. Like, it's not gonna affect me. It's not gonna make me stop. It's just like, that's how I need to show up like in real life.
Yeah.
And if it does and it kind of like fizzles out, then that's what it is. But it's like, sometimes in this like club scene, what we talked about this before, is like, we're not going to find our husbands at the club. Like, that's not what we're going to do. But I'm also like, maybe putting myself out there a little bit more, like at a club, maybe because I'm drinking, there's dancing, there's music, or at a bar where like people are all together. Sometimes I feel like there's automatically like sex is on my mind. And I also think like, again, we've talked about everything, but like the feeling of like wanting to please them. And sometimes it's like, I know exactly how to please them and I'm really good at it, so let me go do that. It's like, no, let me stop. Like, I'm not going to do that right now. So even if you're in these situations where, you know, speaking for myself, like if I'm in a situation like a club, like a bar, where in the past maybe I've like reached out, or they'll make eye contact and we like move on, and it's like, hey, this is what we're doing, and we go on because like, oh, we're just here for a fun time. Like, if I've already made a promise to myself, this is not what's going to happen, like maybe the conversation will grow like a little bit more, and we'll see. And like, the more and more I do it, the better and better I'll get. And this like season is the perfect opportunity to do that and practice remaining unbothered, because, you know, there's going to be situations where I put myself out there at a bar and all they're going to want to do is fuck, which is not bad. You know, maybe that's all that they're there for, and that's not me. Then boom, done. The conversation's done. I haven't wasted my time. You haven't wasted your time. I'm not heartbroken. You're not annoyed. There you go.
Yeah.
And I practice talking to you. It's just going to be hard sometimes.
No, I think I love that. I was also going to say, I think because we're off of birth control, it does help in the going out sense.
That's true.
Because there are times when we've gone out when I'm like, I can't. Nothing can happen.
Nope.
Or like, I'm not even going to risk it. Like, I don't even want, no, that's not happening. And so I feel like that, like, honestly, knowing my body better has allowed me to be like more secure in my body and my decisions, because it's like, I know what's going on. So no. Which is great. Yeah. To have that. And like, that's something that's like an only you thing. Like, only you know what's going on, and no one else deserves like an explanation. It's just like, you're very clear in your boundaries. And I do think like,
I am very attracted to people that are like that are very secure in themselves. And sometimes I get frustrated with myself of like not being secure like that. But I'm like, if that's what I'm attracted to, this is the opportunity to practice that. And I think that energy will bring me exactly what I need, because that is like, I believe, you know, attractive towards other people.
Who's the girl in Yellowstone?
Beth.
Channeling our Beth. She goes after what she wants. She says what she wants.
She does not give a flying fuck.
No. Anyway,
aside from Yellowstone, I think it's just important to figure out what you want, because I think some people are like, you know, we have friends too that have like, no, it's a priority of me to have a relationship. That's what I want right now.
Yeah.
But I think you and I are very similar in the sense of like, we've made up our mind of like what we kind of want right now, or what we're like allowing in our space, and what we even have time and energy for, because relationships take time. But that doesn't mean like we don't want to have fun or like have a connection with guys, because like I love guys, like they're great. No, I do, they're great, and I want to have like a relationship, a connection with them. But like, how do I have that while still like maintaining myself? And I think a fling is a perfect thing to have. I do think like, if it's not what I want, I'd rather be single, and I'd rather not talk to anybody. And I think that's like the main thing, right? Is if it's like we're talking and you want to have sex right now, no, that's not going to happen. Or like if we're talking and like you want like an intense relationship and you want to hang out all the time, like, no, I've already like committed to this. If you're going to be frustrated with me doing me, like I've been with people that are like that too, that just like want to spend like 100% of the time, like that's not going to work. And I've said this before, and I have a thing right now where I'm like not really interested in like letting people into my space. I just like don't feel comfortable with like having people here like that, like in my room, like, and I have my dogs here. It's just very like, I don't know, it's a intimate part of my life that is like, I don't want people to see right now. And I think having that boundary even during wintertime has like helped me not bring people home and maintain like what is comfortable for me. And I think that's something that I'm going to continue like in the summer.
I love that.
Yeah.
No boys allowed.
No boys allowed. Only men.
Only our ideal summer fling. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Go out there, guys.
I hope you have a fun fling or a fun single summer.
Yeah.
Or if you're married or in a relationship, keep it up.
Yeah. Great job. Oh, it just ripped out my hair. All right. We're doing well.
All right. Go follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate, review.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.